for the time. We appreciate it as always. And curious just how you've seen Frace progress the last couple of days. I know maybe he wasn't 100% the other night, but how has he responded to treatment and going into tomorrow's game?
Well, he practiced yesterday, so I haven't been down on the floor today or even talked to the trainer today. I'll give him a call here in a minute just to evaluate him and see where he is for practice today. So I won't know that until a little later on.
Thanks.
All right, Zach and Mike.
It's Mike, just sort of a double barrel question, but what is Trace dealing with? Is it primarily still the thumb or is there something else? And how have you seen maybe guys around him, Race, Malik, recognize, hey, if he's a little bit hampered, then we got to step up our game? Well,
again, you go through bumps and bruises when you play this game. And, I don't know if he took a fall or what, but I noticed it a few games right before the Little Rock game. Him over there sitting uncomfortably. And I don't know if it was his tailbone or something that was going on. But at the end of the day, if he can't play, it's next man up. So I thought Race did a hell of a job for us in the Little Rock game when he didn't play. He stepped up and played unbelievable. So, that's the kind of team I've always wanted to have. I've had that in the past in Atlanta and New York when I coached there. And, injuries occur and, everybody, won't probably make it through a season. You hope they would, but that's not always the case. So it's got to be the next guy in line to be ready to play. It's just how I look at it. When guys get hurt, there's not a whole lot you can do about them. You can't wait on them. You got to just push guys that are ready and get them ready to go.
All right, Mike and Todd.
Yeah, Coach, how important is transition defense in this game, and what are the keys for you guys to slow down North Carolina when they get the ball?
Transition defense is important in every game that we play. All these teams that you play, everybody's trying to push. They got fast guards. They get the ball up the floor. So we got to get back and build our wall and make them go through our half-court defense. We can't have them running all over the gym and expect to win.
All right, Todd and Keegan.
Mike, tomorrow's game marks the end of the Big Ten ACC Challenge. What are your thoughts on the end of that? And what are your general thoughts on these conference challenges in general? Do you like them? Would you like to see it replaced with another one?
Well, again, I'm new at this, man. Last year was my first experience, so I haven't had a whole lot of time in dealing with this particular game with the ACC. But, I think it's great. I don't have a problem with it. My thing is I'm always looking for competition, and, we got enough of it this season to see where our team is. So I don't have anything against it. It's what it is. I don't have any control over it, obviously, but if I got to play an ACC team, I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with it because there's talent over there. North Carolina has a lot of talent, so it's all good.
All right, Keegan and Wilson.
Hey, Coach, what have you kind of seen from Pete Nance so far this season and watching North Carolina? Has he taken any progressions from what you saw against Northwestern last year?
Say that again. Who?
Pete Nance on North Carolina. Have you
Okay.
kind of seen him take any progressions from last year at Northwestern?
Well, not really. He had a big game about 3 games ago, 3 games ago where he had 28. So the guy's capable of putting the ball in the hole. I've known that kid when he was a young kid. I coached his daddy, Larry Nance. So, I like everything about him. He plays hard. He rebounds the ball and he can put the ball in the hole. So, that position, we got to keep our antennas up and stay alert because he's capable of putting the ball in the hole.
Wilson, then Emma.
Mike, North Carolina lost a couple of games in the past couple of days. Just do you see it as an advantage? Do you like playing a team that's kind of on a slide like this? Do you see areas where you can take advantage of that?
I never go in the game thinking I got the advantage. I've never coached that way. I've never played that way. You know, the beauty about their team is they're battle tested. You know, they were in the championship game last season, so they know what it's like to have their, backs against the wall. I mean, so, I'm not taking this team lightly. They got a great team. They're well coached. And we're going to have to come out and commit ourselves for 40 minutes to beat them. I mean, it's not going to be a game where they just roll over and let us win. We're going to have to go out and earn it and play for 40 minutes to win the game, I think.
All right, Emma Zan.
Coach, obviously Armando Bacot, Caleb Love, some of UNC's biggest offensive weapons, and then Leaky Black is an elite defender. But do you feel like there's anyone on North Carolina that's gone under the radar so far this season that you guys will still have to look out for tomorrow?
Not really. I think, they've been playing eight guys. And, the Trimble, the young freshman is, I like him a lot. He's a guy that we looked at, early on the recruiting trail. And then there are 5 to 6 guys that play the bulk of the minutes are legit. They can play, man. I mean, their guard playing Love and RJ and having the big fella inside, they pose a threat. I mean, and you got Nance and Black who can defend, and Nance can make shots. And, it's a solid ball club, man. And, we can't take, I'm telling our guys, can't take them lightly. This is a big time team, and it's a big time game, and we got to see what we made of.
All right, Zion and Tyler.
Coach, it looked like against Xavier, you guys switched less than you usually do. When it comes to playing these bigger teams, how do you balance kind of wanting to switch those ball screens, but also not wanting to give up mismatches?
Well, again, I mean, I've always coached that way. When we think that there's an advantage for us defensively, then we will switch. But if there's a disadvantage, I'm not going to put X on a center or a power forward. It doesn't make sense to do that. So, I mean, we'll switch a quarter. We'll do what we normally do from a defensive standpoint. But again, I go into a game, protecting certain players and not trying to put them in a bad position. I mean, that's what it boils down to when you're trying to build your defense.
Tyler the Mason.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. You started recruiting Xavier Johnson pretty shortly after you got the job at IU. Was there someone that tipped you off about him originally? How did you find out about him? And then what about, I guess, maybe the early conversations with him or watching film of him really made you feel like you wanted to get him to IU?
Well, again, I was so new. It was my coaching staff. Kenyon Hunter played a major role in getting Xavier here. He knew the kid. He had recruited him before, and we knew he was out there. I started watching tape on him. I liked his speed. But there were a lot of things, that we had to teach Xavier. I mean, in terms of, running pick and rolls and just running a basketball team. I mean, you guys remember when he started with us. I mean, he struggled early on in terms of being able to run our team and do the things that I wanted. And he's come a long way. I mean, I love everything about him. I guess he's heard me in his ear enough, but he's improved tremendously for our ball club, and we've all benefited from it. So, but Kenyon had a lot to do with it. I mean, he knew the kid and knew his family, and then once I got involved and started doing my due diligence on it, it all worked out in terms of getting him here.
All right, Mason and Alec.
Coach, I guess with Trey Galloway, you mentioned last night that you were still going to evaluate him today. What do you need to see from him to be able to make sure that you feel good about him going tomorrow?
Well, he practiced yesterday, and you know, I mean, he looked pretty good, but again, I haven't talked to the trainer this morning to see how he actually feels. These guys are still in class right now, but I'll know a little late. We had a late practice, so I'll know a little bit later on if he feels pretty good, then, you know, we'll suit him up tomorrow and play him.
Alex and Zach?
Coach, I'm curious, your relationship with Hubert Davis. Did you know him at all from when he played in the NBA? And overall, just what do you think about the job that he's done so far at North Carolina?
He's done an excellent job. I don't question coaches ever. I never do that. And I knew of him as a player. I watched him play in the NBA, but I didn't know Hubert Davis. But I think he's done an excellent job. Anytime you can get your team to the final game, I say you've done just fine. And I got nothing but respect for Hubert Davis and his staff.
All right, Zach, and then Tom, last one.
Tom, or Mike, sorry, I recognize this is a sort of a bigger picture question, but as something like the ACC Big Ten Challenge moves off the schedule, if that's not something the conference puts back on in some form, would you want to seek another one of these kind of marquee games here in the sort of late November, early December calendar going forward?
Well, we're hoping that we get Kentucky, you know, which I think is going to possibly happen here in the future. So it doesn't get much bigger than that either. So, I mean, you have Kentucky, you know, I mean, we have Kansas next year here at home. But we'll figure it out as we go along. I mean, I'll try to make our schedule competitive as I can. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, you look at our schedule this year, it's competitive. And, you know, if we can stay, you know, if we can keep doing that, it'd be great for our program, I think. You know, I mean, again, I don't know how this ACC thing is going to turn out. I mean, I have no control over that. If they'll bring it back, I know it's going to go away, but I don't know, you know. But we'll figure it out as we go along. We'll find another team, you know, that's a big time team and see if we can put a game together. That's all we can do at this point.
All right, Tom, last question.
Hey, Mike, I know you talk a lot about just, you know, still learning about this team and such, but you've had this little 6 games to start and now this fun competitive stretch getting ready to come up. Through 6 games, have you learned all you need to know about this team, or how do you feel comfort level with what you've shown so far in 6 games as you head into this stretch?
Only time will tell, man. You know, I mean, I like what we've done in the 6 games, but again, we heading into our 7th game, and you know, you try to learn, you know, do the best you can, but you always learn something about your team. And you know, I thought against Xavier, which was a big team that matched up big with us, you know, we answered the bell. And so tonight, I mean, Wednesday night is going to be another challenge for us just to see where we are as a ball club. But only time will tell.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you, guys.